thank you for that fine music. Great. For those of you that don't know me, huh? Can you hear me now? Okay. Wasn't that some great music? For those of you that don't know me, I'm Leonard Cody. I'm the president of this trade union. Let me tell you, I'm mighty proud today. Couldn't be prouder when I see a gathering like this. We're all here for a common cause. And I don't think we can lose. Do you? No! Let's hear it again. You think we can lose? No! I don't think so either. Thank you. We have some fine speakers for you today. The first one's going to be Dave Klarenbach. He's a great friend and a true friend of this union. He always has been and he always will be. He's working for the working men and women of this state. And Dave is one of the few legislators that understands our problems, that is sympathetic. And that's why he's here today. He's not afraid to speak out for the working ladies and men of this state, and that's why he's here today. And with pleasure, I introduce Dave Klarenbach, representative of the 96th Assembly District. Dave?
Thank you. Thank you, President Cody, President McEntee, President Schmidt, President Reagan, and all the other presidents here today. I want to welcome all of you to Madison and to the state capitol. I'm appearing today not as a representative of the management of state government, but as one who represents the citizens of this state that rely on every single one of you. The citizens of this state rely on every single one of you and 25,000 of your co-workers every day to provide the services to run this society and keep us functioning as a state. And I'm here to tell you today that the citizens of this state understand and appreciate those services that you provide them. They understand that without you, there is no transportation system in this state. There is no conservation and recreation. There are no prisons or institutions for the disabled. There is no consumer protection, no commerce and industry, no public assistance, no courts administration, no banking regulation. In short, without you, the very health, education, and welfare of our state would be at risk. And for this, we owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude, and we also owe you a fair contract. That's what we owe you for those services that you provide. But let us not forget to mention the second price that you as state employees have paid in recent years as a contribution to our state's economic stability. Some refer to it as that double whammy that you have paid. 2 years ago, we found ourselves on the brink of fiscal disaster. That monumental state debt had to be paid, and the taxpayers were asked to shoulder that burden with a 25% increase in sales tax and a 15% increase in a surcharge on the state income tax. And each and every one of you as taxpayers paid that price, but on top of that, you paid the double whammy because we froze your wages in 1983. That's a double whammy you paid. And pride in your work, and for that, we owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude, but we also owe you a fair contract in 1985. property tax relief programs with $800 million of taxpayers' funds. Some faculty at the University of Wisconsin will receive a 30% pay increase, and by God, you deserve a piece of the pie. Is designed to shift the burden of public sector activities to the states. We must accept that challenge with a renewed commitment to the principles of progressive state government. We accept the importance of economic development and a hospitable climate for businesses, yet we must remember the human climate and the importance of our quality of life here in Wisconsin, and you're the key to that quality of life in Wisconsin. The issue today is a fair contract and economic justice for you. Tomorrow, the issue is the important role you play in creating that society that serves the public needs, working to make Wisconsin a better place for ourselves and our families. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. You know, Dave spoke of a commitment. Every person in this crowd today has a commitment. We're here and we're committed. We're going to send Tony Earl a message today. You think he's going to understand? Are you sure? Let's hear it. I'm sure he's listening somewhere. The next speaker that we're going to have today probably wouldn't need an introduction. John Schmidt. I'm sure you all know him. Labor needs a strong voice to put forth and win their issues. Under the leadership of the next speaker, the men and women of the AFL-CIO in the state of Wisconsin have been heard, have become a force to be dealt with. John Schmidt is here today in solidarity with the WSEU and to show that our problems are the problems of all workers. With that, John Schmidt, President of the AFL-CIO of Wisconsin.
Thank you, Brother Chairman, Representative Clarebach, President McEntee, officers, and brother and sister trade unionists. I bring you greetings from the Wisconsin State AFL-CIO, and especially a pledge of support from the officers, executive board, and the other affiliates. Unity, of course, is an often spoken word in the trade labor movement, but if ever we needed unity in the labor movement, we need it today. Unfortunately, apparently, the winds that come from the Potomac have also hit 50 other states in this country. And as a result, there's a tendency on the part of the private sector, those who run it, and even the governmental units, to really believe that the only way we're going to save America, put it back on the road to prosperity, is if the workers in this country will work for less and produce more. Unfortunately, the last 5 years haven't been a good 5 years as far as workers are concerned. Union members in the private sector, construction area, government employment, and service sectors have also had difficulties. Non-union workers, of course, don't have a choice. Whatever their employer does, they have to follow suit. And so for 5 years or so, workers in this country have paid a penalty on the premise that by doing this, we will help out whomever we work for. In your case, of course, You made your contract 2 years ago at a time the state government had financial problems. 2 years later, however, the state government is in good financial shape. Same thing has happened in the private sector. Some of the employers over a period of years have gotten well. But unfortunately, it seems to be you got workers on a run. Now's the time to take advantage of it, so get whatever you can get. However, with respect to government, we always feel, especially at election time, when our members and other citizens of Wisconsin work together to elect friends. You know, if you had 51 Clairvox in the Assembly and 17 in the State Senate and 1 in the East Wing, you probably wouldn't be gathering here today. So what it really means, we have to do a better job in the elective process, and above, sometimes hold our friends to the fire. You know, unfortunately, most elected officials recognize where you are prior to election. But after election, it's hard to find you. Someone don't even know where the hall is anymore. So it's up to us, it's up to each and every one of you to make your legislators and elected officials more responsible. And I guess that's the key terminology, more responsible. We have been responsible. It's high time that those who are in a position to account for their side of the aisle also act in a responsible manner. And that hasn't been done in most areas. In the private sector, the greed for profit, of course, is the name of the game. And even though there's been some companies who that was adopted and signed, there's no panacea for workers. It isn't much different than the Reaganomic plan, where those on top got the most and the rest is supposed to dribble down to those below. But it didn't happen on a national level. It isn't going to happen on a state level. Those on the bottom who got tax relief in most instances paid little or no taxes to begin with. And so I think state government has to recognize that when workers receive a decent scale, what's wrong with getting a decent scale? You get a decent scale, you get a decent wage, you pay better taxes, you buy homes, you send your sons and daughters on to higher education. And that's what it's all about. So a decent wage for workers means that all America gains as a result. And here on a state level, if taxes are increased and workers don't make the kind of money it was assumed they're going to make, those taxes aren't going to do what should be done. So tax increases are not bad if the proper people pay them. And in this state, those on top, of course, as I said, got the biggest benefit. I know that an article of $1. That's all he made. I don't know what the hell he can do with it, but as I've said on occasion, I'd rather take his perks. He could have his annual wage because I'm sure they're very well too. But for some strange reason, even government listens to those. State government hasn't been any different. The idea of you help those on top, this is how we're going to help economic development. There are going to be more jobs, going to be better wages. It just hasn't worked. So I salute you today for your rally. It's your way to express to your employer that you're not happy, and all you really want is good, fair, collective bargaining. Reasonable collective bargaining. And probably above all, that it's middle-income America that has made this state great. It's middle-income America that's made this country great. It's a middle-income America that got decent wages ever since the end of World War II, and were able to do the things that they did and gave us a great standard of living. There's a great erosion in middle-income America, and I think that's bad for this country, because it's that part of our economy who got decent wages and spent their money. So I salute you today. I encourage you to keep up the good fight. We will help you in any manner that Director Beal calls upon us, and hopefully together we can get you what you got coming. Thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you, John Schmidt. Glad that you sympathize with our cause. The next speaker represents what we are today. Some of the strongest union leaders in this country are those who understand the problems and the concerns of the rank and file member. That's what we are. Our union can be proud of its director because he come up through the ranks of the Wisconsin State Employees Union. And he understands what your needs are. He makes himself available, and he listens, and he takes action on any problem or concern that you have, regardless of the size. Your problem, your concerns are his concerns and are part of this union. A tremendous amount of our success is due to his relentless approach to unionism in the Wisconsin State Employees Union. Our next speaker and our director, Martin Beal.
Brothers and sisters, we in this great union, you and I, call each other brothers and sisters because we truly are part of the same family. When the auto workers in Kenosha are threatened, we understand their fears. When the workers at Oscar Mayer are laid off, we feel their pain. Anywhere and everywhere in this world, whether it's in Gdansk, Poland, Detroit, Michigan, Madison, or Century Foods in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, when the rights of working people to earn a decent wage and work in dignity are threatened, the union, our brothers and sisters have been there. But we are only strong when we speak with one voice. When we speak for fairness, we must speak with one voice. When we speak for equality, we must speak with one voice. When we speak for justice, we must speak with one voice. And so we are here today, 5,000 strong from every corner of this state, to speak to the Earl administration, to speak to the taxpayers who pay our salaries, to speak to the children we care for, the motorists we protect, the senior citizens we serve. But brothers and sisters, if we want them to hear us, we must speak clearly, loudly, together. And so I ask you now, do you think it was fair for Tony Arrow to tell us in 1983 that we would share in the savings we produced in health care costs, and then tell us in 1985 that we can't have what he promised us? It's a long way to Maple Bluff. He can't hear you. Do you think it's fair that state employees have lost over $1,600 in purchasing power over the past 4 years? He still can't hear you. Do you think it's fair that a university professor could get a $7,000 raise while most AFSCME state employees would get less than $1,000? Can you feed your families? Can you pay your bills? Can you take care of your children? Feed your homes? And pay. And in fact, when you put it all together, the average state worker, as Marty said, sacrificed to the tune of some $1,600. And those people told us, and they promised us that as soon as things got a little better, that they'd make it up to you, that they'd make up for all of those sacrifices. And the members of AFSCME, they helped. We played our part when this state was in trouble. We played our part as workers, as taxpayers, and as citizens. And now the state legislature, at least to a degree, has recognized that, and they've voted the money to square the account. But the people on the state side of the bargaining table, they don't want to square that account. They, at every meeting thus far, have talked out of both sides of their mouths. They've dealt with us in bad faith. They took the money that the state legislature put up, and they divided it down the middle. Down the middle, which means they gave half to 10,000 professors who have spent the last 2 years whining and complaining about how damn hard it is to get along on $35,000 a year. They gave to these people in some pretty nice, cushy jobs, averages of 31%, and then that not be enough, they piled some fringe benefits on top of that. And when they were done, and when they were finished, they turned to the 25,000 state employees who average about $17,000 a year. They said, here, you take the leftovers. A 5% raise, a 6% raise, no fringe benefits, and if you want to make up for those sacrifices, if you want to make up for inflation, and if you want to make up for retirement and health coverage or anything else, then you take it out of your paycheck. So in fact, it's not even 6% that's floating around out there. For the last 2 years, the citizens of this state have heard a chorus of nagging and moaning from a small group of people who complain about making that $35,000 a year and work 8 or 9 months. They haven't heard anything from the hundreds of state workers who were injured and attacked by prison inmates or injured by the mentally ill or the mentally retarded. When it was tough and we sacrificed, they didn't hear anything and no sniveling from hard-working state employees about how tough, and indeed it is, but how tough it is to pay those family bills on $15,000 or $16,000 or $17,000 a year. They didn't hear it. They didn't hear it. They didn't hear it because we, the Wisconsin state employees, were confident. We were confident that this time we would We've bargained in good faith. We've sat down with the mediator in good faith. And now we've had enough. Enough. And we want Governor Anthony Scully Earl to know something. We remember when Governor Earl said to us, we remember when Governor Earl gave a speech right inside that State House and asked for our help to win the State House and said to us that indeed he would treat us fairly. Fairly! Well, Anthony Earl, we helped you. Well, Governor Earl, we turned out. Well, Governor Earl, we did our best. And now we're in negotiations again. We're in negotiations again, and now we want your help, Governor Earl. And all we want is for you to live up to that quote, for you to live up to your word and give us an element of justice and fairness in these negotiations. And if your negotiators can't deal with that, then we're saying to you, Governor Earl, you get involved and you deal with it. And let's see. Let us see from the governor if his words and his actions match up. Governor Earl, here in Wisconsin, indeed as anywhere else, what goes around comes around. And don't you or any politician of any political makeup forget that. Because the members of AFSCME have made all the one-sided sacrifices. We have given all the one-sided help you are about to see. And from here on in, there's only one measure. We demand fair treatment, or to hell with it. And I'm here to say to you, as the president, as your president, in the state where it all started, the president of a union of 1,100,000 sisters and brothers like yourselves, the president of now the largest union in the AFL-CIO, I am here to say and commit to you on behalf of that union, that sisters and brothers, whatever it takes in Wisconsin, be it money, marbles, and chalk for equity, justice, and decency for state employees, we will be there together, and indeed, we shall overcome. Thank you.
follow Hamilton Avenue, you can see the park right down there on the lake. Hope to see you all there. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have solidarity forever to end this.
All join